Hello, fellow Econauts, and welcome back to our show. I'm here with my brother Ben, the Rocketman. Hey, Ben, how are you?
Hey Simon, hey fellow Econauts, how's it going? Today we talk about the challenges to live on Mars.
Let's start with a little refresher about the categories of challenges living on Mars.
First, we talked about the environmental challenges. Then we talked already about the technological challenges. Then there will still be social and psychological challenges and economical challenges.
So today we are talking about the psychological challenges, and perhaps we should start with the journey from Earth to Mars.
Obviously, we need to get there first. To get there, we need a spacecraft launching from Earth, flying to Mars, destination Mars. Anyway, this flight will take 9 months, so 280 days. And if they were to come back from Mars right away, they have to remain in orbit on Mars for about 3 months, which prolongs the overall time to 21 months in the best case scenario. So if anything goes wrong and they are already more than halfway to Mars, it will take the colonists or astronauts 21 months in space at minimum. Assuming that they will land on Mars, obviously much longer, because that's the whole purpose to get there, obviously. So, but living in a spacecraft, obviously you don't have a lot of space just around you, but not in the spacecraft. You have no gravity. Everything is different. There's no real day and night cycle. Because the sun is coming always from the same side. Maybe you rotate the spacecraft a little bit, but that's not really the same thing. So there's lots of changes for our body, which we can't really anticipate what it does to us physiologically, but also psychologically. We do know that when people are in isolation, that become mental ill, and for that the astronauts have to be trained very hard for stress relief techniques. For they might need somebody on board who's a trained psychologist who can deal with this, but then who's actually looking after the psychologist, and so on. So you can imagine that there's lots of the feeling of being lonely, depression, and so on will impact the life of the astronauts during the flight.
So after the long journey, we finally arrived on Mars, and I think living on Mars in isolation has its own challenges.
The first habitats are likely very small. So we again live in very isolated and small confined spaces that come with all the challenges I already mentioned for the trip. But then additionally to that, now people start there and they have constantly the environment. Maybe they have windows. If they don't have windows, then they don't even have that. But the environment on Mars is very desolate. It's there's not much to see. There's no nature. There's no animals. There's no sounds coming from there. So it's also, from sound wise, it's also very there's nothing going on really. So they will play music all the time, or maybe simulated noises from animals. Maybe they have VR environments, so they can sort of escape this very sad environment for a while, to get a bit of a refresher.
I also can imagine the unpredictability of the environment has its own challenges. Maybe you can go a little bit into more detail regarding that.
The constant stress, the constant knowledge that there is a risk of dying at any time is obviously pushing the limits of our colonists, of our Martians, a lot. This will have lots of impacts additionally to the isolation and deprivation in the first place. So you can imagine there's a huge mental stress these colonists have to go through. Even if we assume that Starship could bring 100 people for the first colony there, which is, I think, for the first colony unlikely. But even then, with 100 people, you run out of social interaction at some point. And if the social dynamics also come to play, there might be fights, there might be arguments, there might be romances emerging from there. So all these things have a huge impact on the mental state of our colonists, and they also still have to perform very hard work. It's not like Today I do a science experiment, and the rest of the day I have free and go into my VR environment. It will be more like, okay, the VR environment, if they have one, is just limited for people who are at the brink of getting mental ill, or they have a maybe like a physiotherapeutic appointment every once a week or something like that. So it's nothing they have as a recreational thing every day, probably.
Perhaps we can talk about the challenges for our Mars colonists to stay in contact with family and friends on Earth.
We have already mentioned in the technological challenges episode that communication with Earth is challenging for two reasons. One is, at best, we have a 4-minute delay each direction. At worst, we have a 24-minute delay in each direction for any communication, which makes it very hard to have a face-to-face. So it's more likely that they record a video and send the whole video. The second thing is just sending a data package from this distance has a very high likelihood that you lose some of the data. So sometimes you might not even receive the whole message in the first place. So this makes the communication very challenging, not only for mission critical information, but then if you go to family and friends to stay in contact with them, makes it very hard to really feel connected. So again, a feeling of loneliness and worrying about your family members at home. What happens there? You can't just go back in a blink of an eye. So it takes lots of effort and lots of preparation, and also you might not want to go back, because after all the effort getting to Mars, and you're dedicated. So there's a bit of a conflict maybe within the Martian colonists as well. So that disconnection between Mars and Earth will also have other impacts in the future, I believe. But in the moment of colonists being on Mars, it will definitely add to all the stress they already have due to all the other reasons we already mentioned.
So let's wrap it up with the challenges for today. We already had like a couple episodes about that, and we are not stopping. We have another one coming up next week. If you like that episode, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already.
And I challenge you to hit the notification bell.
That's a good one. All right. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.
Bye.